Now for tonight, we've got a brunch theme. We've got an apple cinnamon pull-apart bread. Then we've got a berry pizza and a Spanish tortilla. Now, even though it's called a Spanish tortilla, it's not like your flour tortillas or your corn tortillas. It's more of an omelet. It's a spinach and egg with a potato omelet. Something very popular throughout Spain, especially for a brunch time. They consider it to be a tapas, which is kind of like a snack food almost. Now, the apple cinnamon pull-apart bread, I've already had a couple of questions about the flax seeds. You know, some people, they can't have seeds in their diets, and that's one thing that you can leave out. You can even add or substitute oats for that if you don't like the flavor of flax seeds. Oats goes really good with this as well. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with our apple cinnamon pull-aparts. You want to get you a loaf pan. Make sure and spray it down real good too. Have the oven preheated at 350 degrees. Make sure the biscuits that you use, that it says home style. If you tried a different one, like some of the butter biscuits or buttermilk biscuits, it's not going to taste quite the same, trust me. All right. Now what you're going to do with these, just cut all of these in half, like so. And then you're going to take each piece. You want to roll it out pretty thin to where it's about 3 to 4 inches long. And this is something that if you wanted to, you can make the day before, which actually I would recommend because it gives it a little bit more time to soak up the juices from the syrup that we're going to be putting into this, and it'll make the flavor stand out a lot more. Okay. Now, one correction that I did notice, the original recipe does say to have the apples thinly sliced, but I found out that it works better both texture-wise and flavor-wise if you take the apples, cut them thin, and then dice up the pieces. And you can spread them in with the nuts on top, with the walnuts on top, and it mixes better that way, which you'll see why here in a second as we get these rolled out. And get a separate bowl to put your seasonings in that we're going to roll these into. So they don't have to be the exact same size, but what you're going to be doing with these, you're going to be, it's almost like a lattice work going through the pan. Okay. Alrighty. Like I said, we're using the flax seeds in with this one. I've already put in the sugar and the cinnamon, the cloves, and the nutmeg. You know, feel free to leave out the flax seeds. You can actually just, if you just wanted cinnamon sugar, you could do that with this. It goes really good with it. Okay. Put this up here so you can see it. And just roll that in there, just get a good, decent coating. And of course, we got 10 of these on each layer. Just kind of weave it like a basket weave. See if you can see it better that way. Yeah. Just like you're doing a basket weave going through there. And of course, as it cooks up, it'll form together better. Okay. Like so. Go ahead and do the next layer. And just basically go the opposite. Just fill in the holes there. Move that in and out. Here we go. And I've actually seen some people where they've taken these and they cut it up even smaller and just literally just threw them all in there just in a bunch. That works just as well too. Okay. Now what you're going to do, set this aside here. Go ahead and take an apple. Cut it about 1/4 of an inch. And just dice them up there. Spread that over. Take walnuts, or if you choose, you can use pecans. And if you have allergies to the tree nuts, you can just leave them off altogether. Okay, now we're going to make a sauce that we're going to pull over this. Change up these gloves a second. Okay, so I'm going to take some brown sugar. Some butter. Without the paper. And then some orange juice. Basically what you want to do is just mix this, melt this down, mix it in really good with one another. And then we're just going to pour it over top of that. Just make sure you can get the clumps knocked out there. There we go. Just take that mix, just pour it over even. And this is where, if you wanted to make it the day before, you go ahead and stop right here. Just keep that in the refrigerator overnight, and it'll soak that up really well. And you can bake it off the following day if you wanted to. But we're going to go ahead and assume that we're going to bake it off today. Once we do, it comes out. You see that? Make sure it's good and golden brown through it, and definitely want to check the center of it. Make sure it's cooked really well through there. That's why you don't want to put too many layers on this, because it's easy to undercook this dish if you're not careful. So we're going to make a glaze that goes over top of that. And when serving this warm, if you have a wire cookie rack, let it sit on the cookie rack for about 5 minutes. Pop it out of the pan and flip it over, and then you can drizzle the icing on top of it. And you could either just let the kids pull it apart, or you can actually slice it if you wish. Okay, get rid of that. So I'm going to take some orange juice. Just a little bit of sugar. Now, I've got a half a teaspoon of sugar for this. If you prefer a sweeter icing, a quarter cup of powdered sugar would do for a substitute. It makes a really good icing using that. And you can use the exact same dish that we just used for this, or the skillet, I mean. Okay. Just heat that up and stir it in. Of course, while the bread's still a little warm too, when you pour it over, it'll help melt it over and give it a nice little glaze over top. Okay. Just kind of spread that over. And it'll finish melting down, just like on cinnamon rolls. When you put the icing on the cinnamon rolls, it'll start melting down. That's what will happen with this one. All right. Now, like I said, the reason I chose to chop the apples, when you pull it apart, you can actually get the bite of apples with the nuts and everything mixed in with it. Whereas when you just sliced it, you had a layer of apples in between it. You'd have to cut it like you were slicing bread to do it this way. I just find it's more feasible for this, especially for a brunch recipe. It works better this way.